Okay. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. This is the Turkish Diplomats Presents Charming Noise, and I am one of your co-hosts, Thomas Crofel. Joining me today is Paul Hogue.
Hey.
And Calvin Roach.
Howdy.
And we first off, we want to thank you for joining us for our first successful season. We are back after a short hiatus, where we argued for 2 minutes maybe about what our next topic was going to be. And we're going to continue to post some things on the Facebook page, Turkish Diplomats Presents Charming Noise, about Bigfoot. But we're also moving on into other directions. And this season's topic is space horrors gone bad. Space science gone bad. That's what it was. Space science gone bad.
Yeah.
And we, in a drunken rage one night on Zoom, decided that we were going to do the movie Inseminoid. Is that how you say it?
That's it. That's it.
It's never actually said in the movie.
No, it had like 6 or 7 different titles depending on where it was released.
Yeah, the tagline should have been "Avoid the Noid," but that was already.
Apparently one of the titles that was thrown around was like "Seed of the Demon" or "Demon Seed," and another movie had already been named the same thing, so they had to change it. So
look, let me tell you something. I just threw this title out there, and because it had the word semen, the guys automatically said yeah, that's the one.
And we are real hard to bore.
Yeah, we are. And besides, what could go wrong with semen, really?
Well, having been a sailor, I can give you a list. The tagline for this movie was "Somewhere in deep space, a horrific nightmare is about to become a reality," which is kind of the same tagline for every space science film that has ever.
And let me say that even though that it's really the opposite, it was a reality became a horrific nightmare because they kept having dreams about it. Started,
Yeah. And with that tagline, I mean, Alien set the bar with in space, no one can hear you scream. And nobody came close to that ever again with a tagline for this kind of movie.
And this one was pretty much
version tagline should have been.
What?
Well, this movie, like we discussed a little bit earlier, was in the vein of the Alien movie. Let's rip this movie off, because there were the Star Wars ripoffs, there's the Alien ripoffs, and this is probably one of the better ones that we're going to see.
And that's not to brag on the movie.
No, but hang on, I took notes here. I took notes about that.
Oh my God!
But yeah, the Alien ripoff thing got
me. What I need to do in front of you guys.
So I got to look it up, the Alien ripoff thing, to see what 20th Century Fox might have said about this. Well, apparently, the script was actually written before the release of Alien in the UK. And allegedly, the head of 20th Century Fox saw the movie and wrote a personal letter to the director saying it was a wonderful movie, and we don't consider it a ripoff at all. Words to that effect.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well, cocaine is a hell of a drug.
it is. I think, and I really think cocaine was part of the budget, like for this movie. It's like a carton of Marlboro Lights
It
100
certainly wasn't
and an
Brazil,
8-ball.
which is my first note in that I've got. Because there were no bras to be had within space, apparently.
Well, it's cold in space anyway, so
Space, no one can give you support.
zero gravity, Paul. Zero
Oh.
gravity.
So this movie, I love the way it started out. So here's the premise of it. They are an archaeology crew who are on a planet many light years from Earth, and they have come across a temple on a purple planet that has two suns. And despite that, it's constantly 85 degrees. They say that right at the very beginning.
85 degrees below zero. Yeah.
And they find what to me looked like a spilt slushy on the wall. Like somebody just said, hey, we need an alien. Let's throw a slushy against the rocks.
Yeah,
And
it did look like that.
This crystal substance somehow invades the body of several of the people there. There's an explosion because this slushy crystals can explode apparently, and that's where our story starts basically.
Yeah, and I mean, and like we said in the pre-show warm-up, Paul mentioned this. We were talking about Paul and I were talking about it on Facebook. It's hard to keep up with who played who because there were a lot of actors here, and they all seemed in some way like a principal actor, and they all had a lot of about the same number of lines, and you just never knew who was who. I mean, I even went on IMDb, and 2/3 of the actors didn't even have a picture up there, so I couldn't even tell by looking at that.
And a lot of them looked alike. I honestly had a hard time I was like, okay, he has the weird hair. He's got no hair.
Yeah. The journalist lady who was recording everything, I kept getting her confused with Sandy, the woman who was actually the victim of the monster here,
Yeah.
And I kept getting those two mixed up.
Well, I think at one point later in the movie, they mix up their names because I think Kate and Sandy's names got mixed up later in the movie, and then they went back to the correct name.
At one point, they called Ruth Rachel. I didn't catch that one. There was
I thought they were Kate and Sandy got mixed up one time too.
Well, yeah.
I think they said something like Kate killed Sandy, but
yeah, right, yeah. So yeah, it was just. I know. I mean, I don't know where to go for this. I mean, I think the movie, it was actually better than it had a right to be. I mean, it had the schlocky acting, the special effects, but it was made in 1981 for less than £1 million. And they did what they could.
Well, I noticed that because about the last third of the movie, they're in this. They are suddenly, and they have this in this room that is supposed to be like their central control area with computers.
Yeah,
which are apparently not bolted down, as we find it. Even though they're big, bank computers with computer tapes on them, because they still have those in space. I finally and then they had that ladder that went down, and I was like, wait a minute. And because they literally, you could see the curtains going around it to make it look, kind of a cheap, very sort of, British TV space show.
Yeah. Now they did.
And they go down that ladder, and I realized, oh, wait a minute. They're shooting this at an empty swimming pool.
And that part was, yes. It was actually filmed for 3 weeks in some old mines in Kent, England.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they did most of the location shooting in Kent, England. Then they did 3 days in Malta. I took notes, by God.
You did
Ladies
your
and gentlemen,
research.
seriously, but put a circle around the date on your calendar today. This is the date. Calvin wrote that.
So after the crystal slushy explodes, it it embeds itself in the skin of one of the astronauts, goes through his suit, and he becomes catatonic.
Yeah.
The other one is still missing. One is kind of burnt. It's in his face a little bit, and he's sleeping, and he starts sweating, and he jumps up, and he's running around, and he's causing all this chaos. And then what exactly happened there? I'm not really sure. It's like he was leading them in a giant circle, and then next thing I know, this one woman is got her foot trapped in like the railroad track that they got laid out, and
outside of the door.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was because they said, "Well, we can't come get you." I'm like, "Well, why the fuck not?" I mean,
yeah, I didn't understand that.
Well, the outer airlock door was still open, and had they opened the inner airlock door, it would have flooded it with poisonous gas.
And yet, well, I'll get to that later.
And the guy who was, like Tom pointed out, was catatonic. I have to give props to that guy because that scene was probably close to 2 minutes long. He never blinked once. I was like, damn, I bet this kid ruled elementary school with stare downs.
Yeah, and I love that the camera just kept zooming in until it got to his irises.
Yeah. And he never blinked. I was so impressed.
And so the woman who got her foot trapped, somehow or other, she found a blade somewhere and cut her foot off.
But she began cutting her foot off, but died before.
Cutting her foot off, and then she got attacked.
She like ripped a tube out to breathe directly.
Yeah.
And yet, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. She froze to death before she could finish.
They're talking about how, hey, you can't go out. You got to put on the suit to get. Oh, how is she breathing the atmosphere? And then the what's his name? Mark goes outside chasing her, and so does what's her name? Stephanie Beacham's character, and Kate. She goes out chasing her, and they don't have masks on. Yeah, they're breathing atmosphere, and there's no problem.
Well, I went back and watched that part again because I thought the same thing. But apparently, part of the mine had been sealed off for their. Okay. So they actually had atmosphere that they could breathe in it.
That's why. Okay, that's why I said when he calls back and says she's breathing the atmosphere.
Yeah.
But then she gets his mask off, and that is what finishes him off. See, not to mention, she is covered in blood when it's a kill later in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, no blood on her shirt anymore.
I know. I noticed that too, because there were like 2 or 3 times like she ate the corpses of the first 2 guys that died. Yeah. There's no blood on her face, on her clothes, nothing. And then I noticed that too. And I was like,
well, we need to back up a little bit because people probably don't know what we're talking about, but
I don't know what we're talking about.
That character's name was what? Carol Sandy.
Sandy.
Okay. So Sandy, somehow or other, after astronaut boy goes running amok through the semi-sealed channels that they've found with these archaeology carvings in them, they finally catch him, and there's a thumbs up bubble on my thing. I don't know. I guess he hit Sandy somehow or other, but she ends up being taken to the hospital area where she's kind of catatonic, and then she has this hallucination dream where this praying mantis headed creature takes a glass tube and artificially inseminates her.
Yes.
Looks like one of those things with the little.
Yeah.
And the next thing anybody knows, she's 2 months pregnant, and it's only been like 12 hours.
Yeah.
So that's why we're talking about her going around killing everybody, because the aliens inside of her are making her mad.
Yeah. She's ravenous. She's crazy.
One of the ways, by the way, I noticed that they were saving money on this movie. So is they use a lot of food containers.
Yeah. They were like
space.
They look like banquet TV dinners.
Like when the first guy gets, screwed up. And they go and they find these crystals in his hand.
Yeah.
And they put them into the sick bay. And they're like, well, bring me and they call it like an isolation container.
Yeah.
And it's a freaking cookie jar. It's just an air.
It is.
Just leave in the lab, and they keep trying to figure out if the crystals are somehow affecting everyone, but they don't move it to like any other. It's just sitting on the table. Somebody gets killed later on. He's holding the thing, and they're like, hey, be careful with that, because apparently it's glass.
Yeah.
Or they're just concerned the Tupperware top will come off somehow. And when Sandy and the other guy go out to do stuff later, she's carrying around a coffee urn.
He is. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Could they not have found something that just wasn't down the street at
well, it's like in The Empire Strikes Back. There's a scene in Cloud City where a guy runs by the camera carrying an electric ice cream maker. Yeah, it really is.
Well, they also did in this in the control room when they're adjusting the cameras. It's an old radio board, so the guy's turning the potentiometers.
He is, yes.
Audio mixer of some kind. Yeah, I that makes it. I was like, yeah, like they just have total controls on the cameras with tone and balance, and treble and phase cut, low cut pass. There's really what. I mean, the theme of this season is science and space gone wrong or bad, and really what this is, hey, maybe we should establish safety protocols before we go to space. We did nothing. I mean, they would go out in twos to be safe. And inevitably, someone would say, hey, I'm going to check on this other thing. Well, don't go too far. Well, that's just their death sentence right there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because every single time they went out, they would split up.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's what would lead to their deaths. And they didn't write a thing down. And you mentioned you said reporter, Kate. Because I kind of got it. Like she's collecting information, but she collects information like she's a Channel 11 action news reporter,
Yeah.
She's interviewing and she's pausing and asking questions like it's on camera.
Yeah.
A live broadcast or something.
And if you look real close, the recording device she's using, I think it's an electric beard trimmer. I really think it was.
I thought I saw that at one point. I wasn't sure. Yeah.
But yeah,
corporation got some good money for this thing.
But I did actually enjoy the movie. I didn't hate it. It didn't make me angry like What Happens in the Mountains Stays in the Mountains Part 2 did last season. But actually, I found it better than I think it had a right to be. I kind of enjoyed parts of it. It won some festival awards, like they're like a best soundtrack because it was one guy and a synthesizer. That's who they can only afford one guy playing a synthesizer.
I gotta say, I like the music.
It was real dated sounding, but it also reminded me a lot of the music from Forbidden Planet, which was electronic music. And
But
so
at
yeah,
least they were creative on.
yeah, I mean, they had to be making a thing for less than £1 million in 1980, and so they got this one guy. He would record loops on a synthesizer for the soundtrack. They basically just flew an airplane over Malta for the outside shots. And like I said, and they saved money on location shooting by using these old mines in Kent, England. Chislehurst mines. That's it. Chislehurst. And
nicer than we just dug the shit out of everything.
What else did I have here? Oh yeah, like I said, it won some awards and festivals, like best soundtrack, best composer, best director. At one point was a nominee.
Wow.
I did want to ask, and because there were just an awful lot of things that kind of confused me in this movie.
Uh-huh.
And one of them, because they would sort of like touch on something and then just leave it alone.
Yes.
Yes. And one of them was when the praying mantis used, did things to her with the Habitrail tube.
Uh-huh.
The if you've ever
Days of Richard
American Psycho, by the way, that's the scene they could not put in the movie. No shit.
Days of Richard Gere.
No, American Psycho, not Gigolo.
Oh yeah, okay.
Although that would have been interesting too.
Yeah,
it does fit. Pardon the pun. So she's laying there on the table, suddenly naked.
Mm-hmm.
And and let's not forget, the table is clearly the bottom half of a suntan bed.
It is, with lights on it and everything.
They've just taken the door off.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And then Carl, who is one of the who's like a medical scientist.
Yeah. He was like the chief medical officer.
He sees him giving him the syringe. And apparently he didn't. And she was imagining it, but I never got that straight.
Yeah. It kind of went
she asked him directly, did you give me a shot? And he goes, yes, right here in the arm.
And then she shows like this festering wound there, right?
Yeah. From where the sore was. And
yeah.
I think he's like kind of a callback to, and I'm going to forget his name, but from the droid in Alien.
Oh yeah, his name Ash. I think his name was Ash.
Yeah, I think it was Ash. And so I think he was kind of the Ash character.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I kind of had wondered. I had kind of wondered when they, kind of suggested that, because they flashed to the alien and then to him and then the alien and back. If they were trying to suggest that he was in fact the alien in human disguise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course, league with them or like
yeah.
They never disclosed anything.
He would have been like the guy aligned with the actually working secretly for I forget the name of the corporation in Alien right now.
Xenon.
No, that was in the movie. Xeno was in this movie. I'll think of the one in Alien next week. Quit recording. It's
on Harry Dean Stanton's hat in the
yeah, it is. Wayland Yutani.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Wayland Yutani Corporation. Yeah.
So yeah, but they never kind of explain that, and she starts, and then she starts going through her weird stuff and then killing people left and right
to feed the growing horrors inside her womb.
Now, the first time she kills is in a bathroom, and this is kind of an odd thing to bring up, but it is a British film, so you can kind of expect it there. But in an American film, you'll never see the toilet in that time period, 1980s. They would never show anything like that in space.
Yep.
And in most of their films, actually, you just didn't really see it.
Yeah.
And then when she grabs the scissors that were just laying around in the bathroom, and stabs. Well, the thing is they looked like garden shears. They were so damn big.
Yeah, yeah.
And why are the garden shears in the bathroom, the ladies' bathroom?
Carriers
I'm going to
grow
leave that
like
up to
wire.
completely everybody's. What now?
Paper carriers grow like wire in space. It takes, you have to, I mean, they become brittle and nearly a millimeter thick, and so
That's right. The hair becomes infused with steel wool.
Mm. Well, she grabs the scissors, and I'm trying to overlook all that. And she grabs the scissors and starts stabbing this poor woman laying on the floor, and she's bashed her head against the sink counter, and the third woman, I guess the reporter chief, whatever she was, steps in there and looks at him, and Sandy starts yelling, get out, get out, get out.
Yeah.
She doesn't have a drop of blood on her.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not any expert on murder, but I think if you stab somebody to death, you're going to get a drop or two on you.
There might be a little bit of blood spray. Oh yeah, she smashed her head against the sink and the floor, and then stabs the shit out of her. And
If you during that scene where she's bashing her head against the what?
she stabs her and bashes her head against the floor and comes up clean as a whistle.
If you watch that part where she's bashing her head into the sink cabinet there, first off,
she's doing the wrestling thing.
Yeah, she's doing it very slowly, and she's hitting her head against the back of her hand.
Yeah, there's Victoria Tennant, by the way, that she killed.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Gosh, I forget the name of this character because there were so many, but she was one of the ones killed toward the end. She had the really long, curly brown hair.
Holly, yeah,
Holly. Thank you. Along with the guy who doesn't blink, I have to also give big respect to the actress playing Holly, because Sandy pulled her by her hair across a room.
I mean, they was like some kind of special effect, but it looked pretty damn real.
Oh, I think it was real. I think it was honest to God real. I really do. And I was just like, these people, they
are committed to their art.
I forget only getting paid like an 8 ball of Coke for the whole thing. They really, some of these people really put their hearts into it. And the one playing Sandy, especially when she's like going through the birth pains.
Oh yeah,
there were a couple of fairly prominent British filmmakers who thought she did an outstanding job of acting with that.
She would, and like a solid minute of screaming.
Yeah.
It was very impressive. It's probably for me the most impressive part of the entire film was just her screaming there, and it was heartfelt.
Yeah, she was really putting herself into it.
Now, the actor that did that, or the actress that did that, was Judy Geeson.
Yeah.
And kudos to her. That was quite impressive.
What famous movie she was in as a teenager?
I know, but I can't recall it. What was it?
To Serve with Love. She was the girl who had the crush. She was really the second. She was the second in To Serve with Love to Sidney Poitier. Was the one that crush on him was.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I mean, a couple of the actors from there went on to be in films that we would probably remember when we receive their names.
Yeah.
But then a lot of them just dropped off the radar.
Should we talk about? Okay, so we kind of mentioned it. So Sandy gives birth.
Mm-hmm.
Her pregnancy advances quite rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
And right after she's already apparently already showing, like, starting to look like she's 6 months pregnant when she kills Holly and
yeah.
other dude with her at the time. I can't keep. I mean, honestly, it's
Yeah, there were it was real confusing as to who was who.
I mean, I would have to go back and like look at the credits and just write down.
Carl. I'm not sure.
I mean, I took notes, but I didn't go crazy or nothing. Like write down the actors.
Writing who was getting killed, but it's just I can't see that. Anyways, she so she's showing, and then she ends up somewhere in the mines, and that's where she has the screaming. Was pretty convincing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, there's 2 ugly alien babies.
Yes, they're like half human, half insectoid things.
Yeah. And so at this point, she's like alternately taunting and begging for help, and then taunting the people who are in the
control room.
And she keeps calling for Mark. Mark, please come. Mark, help me, Mark, and things like that.
Mark is the guy who's in the control room. That much I know.
Yeah, he was like the lead male.
He was the last man left.
Yeah.
There was
I am not. Oh, go ahead, Paul. I'm sorry. I just talked over you. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just said it towards the end, it's just Mark, Kate, and Sharon. She has basically picked off most of the crew at this point.
Yeah. And I, honest to gosh, thought Mark, this is giving away a lot. Of course, we do this anyway. I thought Mark was going to make it. I felt actual tension in that scene. And then he does. He makes it to the control room. And I was like, wow, I can't believe that I actually felt some tension there. And then,
And after that point, and here was another point of the confusion for me. One of the cast members in this thing, it's like they were going, "Oh, look at the babies! Let's take care of the babies." And of course, the babies ate her.
I think Sharon was screwed by those guys, because they're like,
"Yeah,
here, Sharon, you hold the babies. We're gonna leave you alone with them."
Yes. I mean, it's obvious why they took the babies. It was a way to try to bait Sandy into coming out so they could kill her. I mean, it's obvious why they did that. But
I'm sorry, but if I'm part of a crew of 30 people and I'm 3 left, fuck them kids.
That's right. I'm thinking, well, she's dead. I mean, they have just. And Kate has the balls to, because he says, lock the door. Because he's saying lock the door like, I'm really concerned. I want to protect you from the alien, even though I'm leaving you with 2 of his kids.
Yeah.
And his mate has killed off more than half our ship. Lock the door. And then he starts to walk out, and she turns, lock the door. Like she's just, Kate's a bitch. I mean,
and then after all of that, since we only got a little bit of time left, after all of that, the Space Marines arrive a month later.
Yeah. Well, they lost.
And they're walking through, and why do I keep getting thumbs up bubbles?
I don't know.
And God likes you more than us.
Oh yeah, but anyway.
Like, yep, could have told you that. No problem.
They're walking through, and they see all this carnage. They look at all the crew, and they're like, "Oh yeah, there's nothing in here that we can really do about this. Let's." And then they kind of disappear. And next thing you know, they're on you're on the ship with the pilot who took the Marines there, and closing shot of it, he's sitting there and he's like, "Okay, Earth, we're about to leave. I'm getting out of here." And it pans over to a tool chest, and the tool chest opens.
Why they had this chest?
and talk about safety. tool chest right there out in the open of everything. It was like
Oh,
everywhere
shit.
on the space station, or the mine station, whatever it was, there was junk laying everywhere. They didn't keep that shit clean for nothing. And
Well, they don't. No one slams on their brakes in space. That's the thing.
there goes the bubble again.
It's just symbolic when they do that. Oh my gosh, doesn't happen.
It's actually
I
a
think
good.
Paul is fucking with me on this.
I
Thumbs
swear
up.
to God, I'm not doing it. I swear.
And that's kind of where the movie ends. Now, I understand that in like the European release in some countries, the little alien twins get out and they eat the pilot, so you don't know where they are now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Which you can see human eyes in the mask when they come out.
Yeah, yeah,
Because they
yeah.
kind of focus in, and it's like, well, I can see their skin. I can see the eye skin around.
Mhm. Yeah, there was the guy guys playing the aliens. They listed their names on IMDb, but they were uncredited in the movie.
Now, do you guys want to hear a real bombshell?
Yes, I do.
There's a sequel.
What? What?
Yes, there is Inseminoid 2.
Electric Boogaloo.
I looked for it on our favorite channel, Tubi, but it's not there. I can't find much more other than the poster and that it exists. But there is a 2.
We have a quest.
Yeah.
We have a quest before us.
We got to find this movie. If we can find it, it would be good to have it during this season, I would think.
Yeah, it would.
That would be fantastic.
Well, how much time do we have left? Because mine still says 10 minutes.
I've got about 2.5 minutes.
Okay, because mine still says 10 minutes. I was like, we've stopped time. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, I liked the movie more than I expected. It was one of those movies that we hoped we hate, given the title. But it's like the little alien movie that could.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
I still kind of hate it a little bit. I'm going to be honest with you, because I mean, it shouldn't be. This movie should not have been that confusing, And
right.
And it was, it even looked like a British television show.
Yeah.
And it was almost. I'm thinking the folks. By the way, I meant to look this up earlier, and I'm going to go back to the IMDb page really quickly, because I saw that, was it either the director or the producer? It wasn't the director. I think it may have been the producer. I'm trying to get to the was Run Run Shaw. And I think Run Run Shaw, I'm going to the cast and crew, is part of the Shaw brothers, which there's casting by Rose Tobias Shaw. And yeah, I think Run Run Shaw is one of the Shaw brothers. The Shaw brothers are the guys that did all those, or a lot of, the Kung Fu movies in the 1970s out of Hong Kong.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. Yeah,
like 36 Chamber. They were all called, all like the Shaw brothers.
Yeah.
I think Run Run Shaw. I don't know. I was trying to find it earlier, but I think he may have. I think he's one of the Shaw brothers.
Well, could be. We'll look into that and let you know on the next episode. I'm going to get us out of this on time. I'm telling you. Join us on our Facebook page, our whatever else we've got out there now. I really don't know, because we've done so much. But thank you for listening. And I'm forgetting something. What am I forgetting?
We're on every major podcast outlet.
Yeah.
Most of them. I did not find us.
Oh my gosh, they were so close, but once again, they went over on time. Join us for the next episode of the Turkish Diplomats present Charming Noise.